Wow, many people I see here. The Assembly of the United Nations.
Yeah.
Well, there are also the credit. So we are not. Wow, many people I see here. The Assembly of the United Nations.
Yeah.
And also the credit.
It's our assembly.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, can we start? Okay, can we start?
We have also Louise.
So, hi everyone. Let's start our Assembly 2021. I want to say hi, so many friendly faces that we have here today. Let me just show you our agenda. We will have some new DESIS labs that I want to welcome. Then we have an intervention from ESU. I will do an overview of our activities and the way forward for the next year. And then we will have an open discussion with all of us and having these closing remarks and practical information. And just one moment. I would like to say that for me it's an honor. This is the first assembly that I'm leading as an international coordinator. I'm very glad that during this year we have 4 new members, and I want to welcome them. We have a DESIS lab from Chile, another one from Cyprus, another one from Portugal, and another one from India. And I think the network is expectant and eager to meet you and the projects you are developing or planning to start soon. Each lab will have a 5-minute to present themselves. And I will start, I think that Mariana is here. I will start with the Public Innovation Lab from Santiago del Chile, Mariana Fulgueiras. She will tell us a little bit about the DESIS lab. Mariana, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Mariana Fulgueiras. I am the research coordinator at the Public Innovation Lab from the Catholic University in Santiago. We are a mixed initiative between the School of Design and the Center for Public Policy at the university. And we've been at it since 2013, working basically on projects that try to influence the quality of life of citizens and people in Chile through working together and co-creating solutions with the public sector. We are very, very honored to be part of the DESIS Network. It has been something that we've been talking about and that has been in our minds for a long time now. We really appreciate the knowledge and the opportunity to interact and to learn from all other labs around the world. So thank you very much for this opportunity. It's very important for us. And to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at the moment, We have several lines of work, but we are concentrating basically on a systemic level on healthcare. We've been working now for 3 years with the public health system in Chile, trying to understand why the waiting times for access to public services are so long. And it has been a very interesting experience for us because we started approaching the problem from service design methodologies, and those weren't sufficient because this is a very systemic problem. So now we've sort of evolved and tried to understand the problem in its complexity, and it has led to very, very interesting results. We are running pilot projects in several hospitals in Santiago that have managed to reduce over in 70% the waiting times for people, even during the pandemic, using a combination of a new service model and a new provision model, plus telemedicine or telehealth. So that has been really, really interesting in this past year. And it has also led us to sort of inquire in a more conceptual level about the value of piloting and especially of learning. So what we've been trying to think about and sort of develop internally at the lab at the moment is a methodology to, we call it Gestión del Aprendizaje in Spanish, is knowledge management within the context of innovation. We had a conversation with Ezio a few months back that was very interesting and rewarding in those sense, also trying to understand how we can understand innovation, not just the final products or the things that you sort of showcase, but also about the processes that people, institutions and the communities undergo, and how that accumulates through time, and how we can better make use of that knowledge and that learning, especially more than knowledge. Learning is what we're trying to understand at the moment. That's a little bit about us. We are around 10 people. We're here in our office, so you can see everybody. Luckily, we can get back to the office recently. So that's a little bit about us, and we are very open to receiving questions or comments or suggestions about what we're doing over here. So thank you very much for this space.
Thank you, Mariana, and welcome to the network. Now we will have art design, e-learning lab design for social change from Limassol in Cyprus. I think Nikos is here and he will tell us something about, Nikos is here. Hi.
I was going to say good afternoon or good morning, but I have no idea about the time zones. So I'm not sure what's appropriate to say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, who knows, but hello anyway. And today I had a very good day, and I'll tell you why. Because at last, after 4 years, my 4th year students finish their social design projects, and at least 2 of them will carry on, because this was a big challenge for us. We teach the social design subject in an undergraduate degree, final year students, and the biggest problem we have is that students graduate, they leave, they move on in life, and they forget what they've done. But this year, 2 groups decided to carry on, and one of those projects has to do with recycling clothes, recycling material, and the other one has to do with pollution, both of which are big problems for this little island, which has overall very poor standards in comparison to other EU countries when it comes to issues of recycling and issues of pollution. So this was a very good day for us, the fact that the students decided to carry on with these projects and expand them, something that I had to wait 4 years to see. But anyway, let's take some steps back. This little lab of ours started about 10 years ago with seed funding from Cyprus University of Technology. And it was and still remains one of the smallest labs in the Department of Multimedia and Graphic Arts. However, we tried to carve a little niche in there, and our early focus was on technology-enhanced learning and design education. And there were 2 of us, just myself and my research assistant, who currently lives and works in Belgium. So the first 5 years were all about trying to establish ourselves, trying to move forward. And often we explored in an academic way and in a research way that interconnection between technology-enhanced learning and design education. However, about 5 years ago, we started thinking wider, and that's because a lot of new members joined our lab. And they brought with them, of course, different expertise in different areas. So diverse, the team now. And so if you like, the drift towards social design, it came naturally for us. It's like we all had a concern about social issues, and it was a natural thing to move towards social design. About the same time, about 4 or 5 years ago, we also started introducing social design, social innovation as a subject matter for teaching in higher education. I still think it's the only subject that is taught in social design at an undergraduate level on the whole of this island. I still haven't come across another one. So we've taken that on board, and the other innovation about the subject for us, we're very big on education, by the way. The other good thing about us is that the students work in cross-disciplinary teams from another department, the Department of Finance and Management and so on. So these are cross-disciplinary teams of students that work together to produce these projects. Another very innovative, for us, innovative thing anyway, in the context that we work with. About 4 or 5 years ago, we started at last started to get some funded projects, started being successful, particularly with Erasmus projects. I'm not going to go very deep into that. One of those that I find extremely, if you like, attractive is the creation project we are currently working on with partners from Portugal and elsewhere as well. And the thing about the creation project, which is an Erasmus funded project, is the objectives are very interesting. We are targeting specifically underprivileged women, migrant women, refugee women who need to develop, who would like to develop entrepreneurial skills and have an art background. So we're helping them, if you like, in that respect, to develop those skills. And those are the skills that they also help them, if you like, adjust to the host country, the country where they ended up working. In parallel, we also started a journal, which is a labor of love, and we call it Discern, the International Journal. What is it? I forget the name now. It's got a very long title. You can find it. It's called Discern, which is twice a year publication. It's another fascinating labor of love. Thank God I got my wife behind me, and she helps me a lot with that. And that's where we are for now. That's where we are. I don't know if we've got anything else to say, but I try to keep it interesting. So thank you for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikos, and welcome to the network. I will now, I think we have the Nova DESIS Lab from Lisbon in Portugal with Anne-Laure Fired that took all the way from the United States to Portugal to open the second DESIS Lab. Anne-Laure, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. What can I say? You told me, Teresa and Anna, that I didn't need to prepare a lot, and I just came from another meeting, so now I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm Anne-Laure Fired. I'm the ERA Chair, Professor in Social Innovation at Nova School of Business and Economics. And prior to that, as Teresa said, I was in New York at NYU, where I started the design lab at the NYU Makerspace and funded the Design for America studio of NYU. So working really at the intersection with design, social sciences, and social innovation. I'm an ethnographer of work originally, but I got into ethnography mid-1995, working on the participatory design more in the context of HCI. So I've been, continuing my interest for design for a long time. And so at Nova, I'm very excited to, be part of a network. I've been talking with Lara Penin and Eduardo from Parson and been following the network for a while. I really I'm trying to get started the DESIS lab as really being part of the ERA chair in terms of, because the chair is not only research, it's also education and community engagement. And so I think the DESIS lab is a perfect, way for us to do that. And I also believe very much into collaboration. So rather than doing my own little thing, when I heard that, Teresa was in Aveiro, I got very excited. She got me in touch also with the Faculty of Architecture at the University of Lisbon. So I've been working with them. They have a lot of projects around social innovation. So we started working on the two main projects. So bringing more management and business students with design students on working on a design jam next spring, where we'll have teams of the architecture school bringing in their own projects, and some of the management students. We have a impact entrepreneurship and innovation master where students are developing their own projects. So they'll work together and we'll partner them, team them up to kind of improve their project. And then we're working also on a research proposal to look at co-creation, because I think that it's like becoming a big term in many different ways, but there are like a lot of issues, particularly more in the org science, org studies, companies, but also social organization, international development is kind of using co-creation as a kind of a broad term. I know that in this network, you've been all thinking a lot about it, but I think that there's a lot of people who've been reusing the word in different ways. So we're with the team at the University of Lisbon, we want to look at that in terms of what are the power and politics that are involved. What does it mean really for collaboration? And I think that there's also interesting issues in terms of also of the occupational identity of designers. What is a designer in a co-creation setting? What does it raise in terms of questions for expertise? So we're just starting, exploring. We've been meeting every 6 weeks since September. So it's really in process. And then I had started a podcast called the Design Thinking Roundtable at NYU, but we moved to Nova, still in partnership with NYU, and we've been continuing working on that. So we have a series called Conversation Around Design, where I interviewed designers who are involved in design and social issues. So I had in September, Ben Reason, who is a service designer, talking about designing in the Anthropocene. I'm going to just release, I interviewed a service designer at Sloan Kettering and in New York, looking at healthcare. And so we're kind of trying to, so that's part of the education piece, and trying to make the knowledge about design a bit broader. So, and I'm still hoping to see Teresa soon in person and get started on a project. So very excited to join you all.
Thank you, and Laura, welcome to the network. And last but not the least, we have Frugal Design DESIS Lab from Bangalore in India. Naga Nandini, I think you are also here.
Yes, I'm here. I hope you can hear me.
Perfectly.
Okay, so hi, and I'm really happy to be here to have a community with whom I can interact with. So the Frugal Design Lab has been housed at Srishti, now Srishti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology in Bangalore. And we have been working for the last 10 years. There was a brief pause in 2019, and I resumed work in the lab in September this year, 2021. So currently I'm running a transdisciplinary project with 14 postgraduate students. This is in collaboration with a foundation. And we are looking at millet farming in India, in Karnataka, the state where we live, millet farming and processing of grains, and also grass basket making in Orissa. We are studying this with the background of degrowth as a theory. So we're reading and we're working on the field. And some very interesting questions have come up I mean, just like 3 days back, we had gone to a millet processing unit in North Karnataka. And so that, and to connect these two ideas of is quite difficult. So we visited this farmer, and he has a machine that makes rotis or bread. And there are 3 people who are needed to operate this machine, and he can make 200 rotis in 1 hour. And he said he wants a machine that can make 200 rotis, but with only 1 person. And of course, one can design a machine that needs 0 people to operate and can make 1,000 rotis. But in following this line of reasoning, we end up with the same problems caused by big industry. So then how do we redefine success in this context? And what should design priorities be in this kind of context? So also when we visited the basket training centers in rural Orissa, the question that came up was, is it possible to design systems and processes in rural craft clusters such that they're not regressive and they're not of the past, but they are future forward and address aspirations for participants? And could this be the future of manufacture, which is small decentralized units with more local making? So we have finished our immersion, and now we are brainstorming and ideating, and so I'm excited to see what comes out of this.
Thank you, Naganandini, and welcome to the network. Thank you all for these inspiring projects and stories. I hope that your presence in the network brings many benefits for all of us, and that we can collaborate and share activities and projects and knowledge. And I think the network is getting bigger and better, thanks to all of you. So following our agenda, I'm going to give the floor to Ezio, which is our scientific advisor and mentor, and is the president of the network. Ezio will have an intervention about everything is moving DESIS 2. So Ezio.
Okay, thanks Teresa, and thanks to everybody. As you can imagine, it's really very moving for me to see each other and to see also so many new faces. And I would like to start with stealing the word from Nikos, because for me too, today is a good day. Maybe for other reason, and the reason is exactly the fact that I can say the DESIS is alive. And I will underline alive, because you can be alive living in many different ways. You can have a kind of bureaucratic organization that in some way goes on because there are some structure at that point. It goes on because the inertia. But DESIS is not that. There is an organization, yes, but it is a very light organization. There are no specific rules. There is no specific motivation for you to enter or to stay if you are in. So if people is here, as if people participate, it means that in some way there is something that is really alive. It's really the capability in some way to be sensitive to what is happening. And this for me personally, also, of course, given that I've been one of the founders, so it's also a personal issue. But I think that it's not only a personal issue. I think that it's important to see that in this, let me say, very dark period in which we are, very difficult, tragic period in which we are, the fact of having, in any case, the possibility to see, for me, new faces that I've never seen before, and I thank you for being here, but also some other that I know, and I know that there are others that maybe are not here today, but in some way they participate, as afterward, Teresa will tell you different initiatives that we are doing that are also brand new. What is the small thing that I would like? So the big thing that I will say with a few words, if possible. I already said, and there's no need to be said, we are in the middle of a tragedy. And the tragedy at the same time is also the hugest social experiment ever done. Because many, many people, hundreds of millions of people, probably billions of people in the world had changed. It's changed the behavior, and it changed also the mind, because I can talk better for the Western, but I think that could be similar for other culture. Our relationship with nature is not anymore a discussion for some philosopher. And the idea that we should move from the anthropocentric way in which human beings are controlling everything toward an idea that we are part of a network of living and non-living entity. Well, I think that this discussion is not new, but what is new is that we have hundreds of millions of people that are facing the fact that we are not controlling anything, or we control something, but there is so many other things that are out of our control. And this means to be part of nature, or to be part of the planet as a living system, of which we are some nodes. What are the consequences of that? I don't know. Nobody knows. Or better, we can have some theory, we could, and we did also, probably you know, we have this line of action that is called the philosophy talk. And in particular with Virginia Tassinari and others, we try to develop some thinking, being in connection with the best mind that are discussing this kind of topics. But what we have to do is to bridge this philosophical discussion with what is happening in our life and around us. So I'm sure not because I think that I have the globe where I see the future, but the history tells us that when something like this happens, new waves of social innovation happen. After the big wars, we have a new wave of social innovation. After the big crises, there are big waves of social innovation. What we call social innovation, we have called the social innovation until now, and we will go on, is you know, probably it's a particular wave of social innovation we know now that started at the beginning of the century and now has more or less 20 years and started in a certain conditions and is still there. So we have to work on it and with it and in it. But I'm sure that what is happening is accelerating all the ongoing process. And it's not me that tell it. This is visible, and this has been studied by many people. So many processes have been accelerated, and there will be, and there are already visible, some new trend of social innovation. So I think that we are in a very peculiar condition, because the whole story of social innovation, and modestly also the story of DESIS, has been built on the wave of social innovation that started at the beginning of this century and is still going on. And all the examples that we do are more or less, not 100%, but many of them are related to something that started in the context that we had 20 years ago. Now, something else is happening that is so big. And in some way, I think that our role in this moment is on one side to go on, because all the ideas that emerged in the past 20 years are still valuable, and we should go on. And each one of you, and also me, in my little work that I do, is in some way also the maturity of some idea that 20 years ago could be small ideas and now are kind of movements. But at the same time, and this is what I wanted to say you, we have to be capable to do a little bit what we did 20 years ago. So to look very attentively into the reality and to search for who is doing something that could be interesting, that could be promising, as we said 15 years ago, promising examples of the second wave of social innovation. And what are the drivers of this second wave? For sure, there is the evidence of the ecological crisis that become tangible, that was there also 20 years ago, but was not tangible for so many people as it is today. There are the inequalities that were there also 20 years ago, but as everybody knows, the pandemic is exacerbating these inequalities. And this creates inequalities, that create migration, that create a lot of other phenomena that were there also 20 years ago, but not with this kind of tangible visibility for the people, not for only the few people that have particular glasses to recognize them. And we have this discussion that come up about what does it mean to have this new relationship with the nature? What does it mean to decolonize the ideas that we have had as a basis of our actions? Because design at the end of the story has been a story of the Western, even if we can find design everywhere in the world. But until now, the core of the design ideas comes from the Western philosophy and the European philosophy, mainly of 1 century ago. And nowadays, there are so many other protagonists in the world that want to have voice, and this is correct, super correct. And therefore, there is something that is trying to understand what does it mean to design in some way, starting from different point of view, starting from different cultural background. And all this is going together, and it will generate something new, not necessarily for the good, unfortunately, because what we see as social innovation is something we have always said, but we have never really considered that we always talk about the social innovation that was promising, the one that we like, but there is also social innovation that we don't like, and maybe that we, personally, this I hate. And nowadays, after in this pandemic, we see some social innovation, some signal of social innovation that we can like, but there are also very evident signals of social innovation that, at least for me, are very dangerous. So we are in the middle of this situation, and being alive, as I think we are, we have to make our modest work of a researcher that are capable to look in the complexity and the reality, and what to do, to filter, to extract from the complexity of the reality what is the beginning of new stories. And in my view, this is the second line of action. The first line of action is to be capable to help the social innovations that started decades ago, to consolidate and to spread and to become new large way of doing, and at the same time to use a much more subtle glasses to recognize what is new and unforeseen in our society, not only in the European one, but also, of course, in the other ones. And being a network can help. I can also add, and this is really final because I wanted to be short, and maybe I'm not so short. There is also another point that is crucial in my view. When we started, the political international context was problematic, of course, but there was not evident signal of tensions, risk of war. And we were all inside the same kind of idea that there was a progress, and maybe somebody could have some doubt of the progress. But now, as you know, there are several political tensions, also in between the countries that are represented in our network. And I think that we should be agent of peace, if it is possible to say like this. So to be for peace appeared not so, okay, it was important in theory, but it was not so a topic to be discussed and never been discussed. at least in DESIS. I think that now we have the problem of recognizing our international network as the value of being a network that keeps together people with similar mind, not similar, not equal mind, but with some similar attitude, also as a way to promote conversation, to promote the capability to discuss, the capability to recognize that we are all human beings, and therefore to reduce the risk to start a new kind of different way, because unfortunately war today can be done in so many different ways. So there is not only the classical war of the past, there are so many ways of making wars. So nevertheless, me and I hope all of you are a designer, and being a designer, as I always say, means to be professional optimist. And being professional optimist, our role is to look in this message and to find what is interesting and to try to leverage on what is interesting, to promote it and to give ideas that could be the beginning of a new civilization, of course, a new ecological civilization, of course. Thank you. And Teresa, it's up to you to say all the good things that happened in the past year.
Yeah, I'm going to have an overview, and then we will have an open discussion. So despite everything, I think this was a very busy year with many events and activities. And so like Nikos, and as you said, this is a good day, because after all, I think it was a good year for DESIS. Some of the initiatives were organized by the network coordination, but many were organized by the DESIS labs. And for me, this is a sign, as you also stressed out, that the DESIS network is alive and kicking. Some of the DESIS labs are now more mature and have consolidated projects. And there are others still recent and new that have shown a very interesting dynamic, stepping forward when challenged to participate in our activities. And I think the DESIS Café is a good example of that. On one hand, the concept was possible to implement because of the new technologies and platforms that appeared or became even more relevant during the pandemic period, but also because of the active and interest participation of some of the newest DESIS labs, which were the first to accept the challenge to host a DESIS Café. On the other hand, it allowed us to understand and get to know better the faces and the projects behind each lab, allowing us to connect in a more effective way, not only for networking, but I think mainly for sharing knowledge and experiences. And also, as this is a light format, which doesn't require much preparation or great logistics, and the fact that it's not compulsory, I think it has worked quite well. And as we used to say, don't change a winning team. We will continue with the DESIS Café, and we are already fully booked for the first semester of 2022. Also, these digital technologies and platforms enable greater sharing and connectivity and have brought new ways of working horizontally, and new people have and are emerging. The DESIS Students Initiative has gained strength and has found also in these new platforms a way to connect the students of DESIS labs in a kind of a bottom-up proposal. Also worth mentioning are the regional events organized by some DESIS lab, like the Yangnan University, the DESIS Symposium they organized 1 month ago, or the DESIS Forum organized by the DESIS lab in South Korea, or the proposal that we have now for a Pacific DESIS Forum gathering DESIS labs from New Zealand, Japan, China, Canada, and so on. So these are some of the initiatives, just to name some, because there were so many, and I want to be exhaustive on naming all of the initiatives. As far as building new relationships and keeping the good ones, I would like to highlight the partnerships that we have with the Cumulus Association. and the new partnerships we are building, namely with the World Design Organization and with the New European Bauhaus Initiative. The DESIS Network recently became a partner of the NEP, and as most of you probably know, the New European Bauhaus aims at creating a new lifestyle that matches sustainability with good design, that needs less carbon, and that is inclusive and affordable for all, while respecting the diversity that we have in Europe and beyond. It also wants to translate the European Green Deal into tangible change on the ground that improves our daily life. And we have participated in the co-design of this initiative and becoming an official partner. We want also to contribute with our network expertise, and we will be fostering events within this scope, as we have done, for instance, with the Conversations for the Planet, for instances. I would like to invite all the DESIS Lab that want to participate in this initiative to let us know, in order to have a coordinator proposal or proposals to present to the European Commission within the scope of the new European Bauhaus events and projects. Regarding Cumulus, we had an event in Rome. It was Emerging Design Cultures, and we are planning to be present in Russia, where we have a DESIS Lab in St. Petersburg, precisely one of the universities organizing the Cumulus conference. And there will be another one in Detroit late in 2022. And these are moments where we have the chance to be together and connect with a broader audience. And this collaboration that we have with other organizations, I think it's very important in the sense that strengthens the power of design for social innovation and sustainability, and acknowledge design as a fundamental player for cultural and social impact. I think it also shows the leading role of design schools and design research in a wider context. Also, as most of you might remember, in 2020, we started the process of reviewing and reflecting on the constant changes in society and on the planet through the Conversations 2020 that were materialized through 10 texts that were written by several DESIS Labs coordinators and culminated in the DESIS statements that we presented last year in the last assembly. We would like to revisit this document in order to update the premises that guide the network, and we will use the same modus operandi. So we will be inviting 10 DESIS coordinators to reflect on the conditions in which we find ourselves. And the idea will be to make a publication at the end of the year with a collection of the 20 texts, the 10 that originated the DESIS statements, plus the 10 that we will be written collectively. It is also a way of telling our story and to keep our memory. We will therefore initiate the process as a way to collectively reflect and contribute towards the DESIS statements 2022. To promote the debate, events like the Conversations for the Planet are really important moments of discussion and reflection. As you know, the main objective of the Conversations for the Planet is to act as a tool to build and share knowledge through debates and reflections about ongoing or prospective social initiatives for the planet. This year, it was a conversation between Ezio and Beatrice Gisclar, and I think it marked a call to action because it made us reflect on a subject that had not yet been addressed in the network. The topic was social innovation and the post-catastrophic condition as part of the new normality. I would also like to bring to the discussion the topic of design activism. I think design has always expressed itself through its cultural intervention in society, accompanying or inducing technological innovation, changing behaviors and shaping the artificial world in which we live, imbuing it with new meaning and sense making. And regarding design for social innovation, we are in this new wave, as you said, a new wave of social innovations that are more concerned with the environment, with younger generation taking the lead and taking to action. We saw it in the COP26 in Glasgow. And there is also the general perception that society and companies are more active and participatory in actions to defend the planet. The questions that I put all the time is that if designers are following these changes, if we are doing enough. I'm not sure that we are doing enough. So given the unpredictability of events and the speed of change, I think that designers should be more proactive than ever. And we have the ability and the capability of observing the world and finding solutions to problems, to anticipate other problems. And I think more important, to devise opportunities to innovate and avoid future problems. And of course, we know this, that design is much more than a problem solver, is an opportunity finder to prevent these problems. In a much more important, is a cultural mediator, a sense maker. We give new meanings to things and making the world more beautiful, more pleasant, and more sustainable. So I think we are part of the ecosystem that builds our world, and we must infuse our work with the motivation and willingness to design for the common good and to regenerate the planet and to take care of things. And I think one of the network goals that we are committed to is to a politics of design based on care and solidarity, in order to advance equity, inclusion, and social justice goals. And we have to do so through the courses that we are teaching and the research topics that we take and the projects we create. So I think these two topics that we can start our discussion here, the ones that ASU has a little bit put in order, and also this one of the activism and the need to rethink our statements. I will like to hear from you. This is an opportunity that we have to be together at least once a year. It's an official way to get all the members. I would like to open the discussion. As I don't know if you want to make a provocation to someone, or if someone wants to raise their hands.
Okay, before, so I leave the floor to the others.
Come on, no one?
There's so much to say. Where do you start from?
Well, I think Carla has just put some ideas on the chat that maybe we should start from it, because I think they're very good. That these conflicts are opportunities to know ourselves and others. And I think this COVID, the fact that everybody all over the world was more inside and more at home and had to deal with the issues that normally we just postpone, because there's always something else going on. Was a good time for many things. As you mentioned, not everything was good. There was also bad things, but I think there was there were many changes, especially social changes because of that. And I think people become more aware of how much we need each other. And this is a good point. The not so good point is that, well, with all the economic issues and everything, we have more poverty and more people in conditions that are not so good. So needing more real help, assistance than real innovation. What happens is that I can see much more assistance than people really trying to change something, because the situations are extreme. And so those who can are just trying to help, and maybe the changing and the thinking and trying to, this is my opinion. So it's like what the other things are a little bit like waiting, because there are so many things. I don't know. This is what I see. What do you guys see? I don't know anyone, so I'm just asking. Tanya, Alec, you have your hand like that. What do you think about it?
Anyone, do you want to raise your hands?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
Carla.
speaking.
Go.
Sorry, I should have raised my hands. So I'm very glad to be with you, happy to be with you all. Some of you have been here for many years, so we are passing through many histories together. And there are new members and old members, so thank you very much for being here. I think that I was reading DESIS statements a lot these days. And I think that DESIS statements are something very important for us, because considering all the changes, all the challenges we are facing at an international and national level, we should celebrate what are the values of our community and what are the direction of what we are doing, because social innovation is something that can have many directions. We put the word sustainability, so it gives some kind of quality, but I don't know if this will be enough. We maybe should have something that Teresa have talked. So I think that is very important that we keep a conversation every year about what is important for us. I know that is a very ambitious goal, because, you know, I have been coordinator, you know, I know how busy is Teresa. There are many things to do in DESIS. So maybe something that the ECC could start to be more active in creating these conversations that can make us converge in some ideas that express who we are. Who are we? I always English. Anyway, what is our identity and how we navigate as a community, and what we would like to achieve collaboratively and in our communities. So the challenges are everywhere. And it means that what I have written in the chat is that, of course, no one wants conflicts, but conflicts can happen. Differences can happen, and not necessarily they are negative. Conflicts can be opportunities for us to know better who we are as a community, as DESIS. We are now a very large network. I think because in the beginning we are very few. So as you always said, we know each other. Now there are people that I will start to know. They are very welcomed, but we start to know and build something together. So we have different national contexts here that also have specificities, but we have also these international. So this interplay between national demands, international demands. So we needed to think. So there are many social justice agendas. There are many things that we could work with. But these conversations taking place over the year will help us to really find out and take strength from each other for eventually some conflicts that can happen at a local level. That's it, guys. Thank you. So that's why I put, so guys, I put the last statement in the chat, so you can take a look. It's not long, so you can take a look. This was the last version. It was a conversation between who is arriving now. It was a conversation between many DESIS labs and synthesized in this document. So I think that would be very important. Sorry, I talk a lot.
No. This is the space also for us to talk. So Miaozen raised his hand. Do you want to say something, Miaozen?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Yeah. I'm very happy to be part of the assembly even it's midnight at China. As a part of the founder of the DESIS, I'm also very happy to see our network is still very active, as you mentioned. And maybe I need to say that actually the DESIS labs in China haven't been so much actively involved in the international connection in last years. But in China, the DESIS lab are well connected and worked also quite actively in the Chinese context. As you and Teresa knows, 1 month ago, we organized a DESIS symposium in Jiangnan University. And actually today, there's another DESIS symposium in the Guangzhou Academic Fine Art we have done. So somehow we are, those Chinese DESIS labs has really go deep in the social innovation in the Chinese context. But for some limitation about the language, maybe also distance and also some problems, we are not well connected with the international community. This is our challenge, actually, I need to say. So I think we, as coordinator of the DESIS China regional cluster, I will, the DESIS lab in Jiangnan University, we will enhance the link between the Chinese DESIS lab and also the DESIS International in the future. So this is what I want to say. So help our those Chinese activity and Chinese project promoted by the Chinese university and institutions can brings more contribution for our network. Thank you.
Thank you, Miaozen. In fact, there is the good example from China and also from South Korea that the DESIS labs are connected. Yesterday, we had an event with Portugal and Brazil, and we figure out that we are not connected enough. So I think you have this good example how you maybe afterwards in maybe a DESIS cafe or in another event you can share how did you manage to connect all these DESIS labs and have a bigger impact in the community. Thank you, Miaozen. Some other thoughts?
Yeah, I will have a reflection probably on what Carla was saying before about conflict. I have the chance I'm about to finish a European project which is called From Conflict to Conviviality Through Creativity and Culture. And Ariuno Padurai, who is the reviewer, said to us, yes, but of course we are actually going from conflict to conflict in our society. We don't have to lie to each other, but as Ezio said, we are agents and we are optimists. How did you say exactly? We are professional optimists. I think it's very important what you suggested, that we exchange our way of acting on this world, and we advance to become these agents of peace that Ezio was saying. And but I would like to say something more. You said that also, Teresa, that activism is very important. And then I would like to share also the book of Alastair, of course, that wrote about design activism, Alastair Fuadluc. And I've just done an exhibition during the lockdown that called for action. Actually, we can meet, we can talk, research is very important, but there are many designers really out of this network that are already acting actively, and probably it would be interesting for us really to approach them, to show them, to invite them probably also in the network and show how they act on in the world. So just as this is just a proposal, I will be capable of sharing with you the catalog of the exhibition, where there are all these actions, and one is done by Politecnico di Milano. I see Davide Fassi there. So, but then there are also designers. So Politecnico was an omen for me to wave the first design lab in my exhibition. So I will be happy to share you, and then I stop by this, and to share also the book that just came out on these topics.
Thank you, Anna. More thoughts?
Yeah.
Yes, hi, hello, everyone. It brings me such joy to be able to look across the screen and realize how many of you I know or I've had small conversations with over the years, and that we're here together as a community. So I just wanted to celebrate that. I'm so very grateful to both Ezio and Teresa for being able to kind of gather the work that we're doing to give us our sense of anchor and our sense of outlook, that we are that the framing and the continual reminding of what we've been doing and where we are going is so extraordinarily helpful. So I really appreciate it. I did want to also give a shout out to Caroline McCaw, who's on the call from Otago Polytechnic, and just to let you know that from Vancouver to New Zealand, we're collaborating between our DESIS labs, and I think that the project is loosely titled Harakiki Meets Cedar, Harakiki being the really important spiritual plant resource for the Maori in New Zealand, and cedar being equally important to the Indigenous peoples of British Columbia. So we are working together to share our varying perspectives, both Indigenous and settler perspectives, on how humans and more than humans can learn more from each other, work together. And so we've got lots more initiatives there. Yeah, thank you.
In fact, you have a good example how two different countries are collaborating. So Vancouver and also New Zealand. Maybe we can have an event also how DESIS labs are collaborating with each other. Deepa, you raise your hand, and then we have Spiros also.
Oh yeah, Teresa, you just took words out of my mouth. That's what I was going to ask. So I've been in a lot of these meetings since being involved since past year. And I was just hoping that on practical level, how are the ways that we can collaborate with other DESIS labs, just like what you were saying right now, and how we can go about it. So because I'm really interested, I had a few conversations with people, but like in these meetings we get all excited and connect, and then it's all about follow-up, and then we get lost in our own worlds, and that never happens. So if there was any way that I could know, or we could know, Audrey and I could know here at the STAMS DESIS lab what we can do to collaborate with others, that was one of my questions. And the other question was more on what Nico was saying about continuing social innovation projects beyond classroom after the students have graduated. I would like to know more examples and processes related to that, and how people are doing this, because we also struggle with that. Not only students, like we also move from courses to courses, and let's say I'm no longer engaged with the same course. What are the ways that people are continuing to be engaged with the student teams and the community partners, etc. Couple of questions, sorry.
Okay, Thank you, Deepa. Spiros, and then we have Khalitsa also.
Hi. I think I just wanted to say how happy I am, as always, to be surrounded by the beautiful DESIS colleagues. And I think I'm really interested in the collaboration aspect as well. And I just wanted to say that my feeling in relation to all the crises that we're going through and this pandemic is, I think that more than ever now, we've realized how much we need each other. And I think that for many people, that was the biggest lesson, how to care for each other by being distanced from each other. And I think that none of us were ever really happy with normal, whatever that may mean. And I have a feeling that more people realized all of the problems that normal had. So I'm also a professional optimist, so I'm sure that this is going to be the beginning of something, in a way, to say not something beautiful, but also the pushing of our radical horizon to places that we didn't even think existed 2 years ago. So I'm very excited to have this journey with all of you, and I'm ready. I think we're all ready.
Thank you, Spiros. Khalitsa?
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that it's been such an awesome experience that since we started this crisis, we've been able to keep working and keep going remotely, and it's been such an amazing journey. And all the projects that we've worked on, for example, we also got the chance from our side to exhibit some of the projects that we work on in isolation at the as part of the World Design Capital in Lille Metropole. So that was such an incredible experience. And we also looking forward to collaborate within our DESIS Africa networks so that we keep sharing and then learning and growing together. And it's very nice that we're looking forward to more of our human side, and knowing that there's no place far from us. We are all connected in this crisis. And yeah, so we keep looking outside in so that together we can build a more sustainable network and projects as we go forward. Yeah, so thank you very much. Over to you, Teresa.
Thank you, Khalitsa. I would like to hear some other coordinators, some other thoughts.
Teresa, if I can add something?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I think that before it was touched a very interesting point, that was the collaboration among the DESIS labs. And I agree with you that maybe it's good to have to start a map of this collaboration and put them on evidence, because there are, and so it is good to add value to them, more both in terms of research together, or classes together, or developing even conversation together, but even in terms of exchange of students, of PhD candidate, visiting professorship. This is really something that is happening, and maybe it is happening, as Ezio told, quite informally, because we are a light group, but maybe it's good to start map them, because little by little, step by step, it is really creating constellation of opportunity that could be even an example for other labs to take it into account. So, for instance, we have a PhD candidate of ours that is going to Parsons DESIS lab. We are hosting in Politecnico, Virginia Tassinari from Belgium. So there are all of these things that are really creating, let's say, even best practices that could be implemented by the DESIS Lab.
Thank you, David. I think people are eager to collaborate. Paulina, do you want to say something?
Yes. No, I just want to say congratulations, because I think all the things that the DESIS network has moved this past year are amazing. I think there are a lot of, like the Students Initiative and the Conversations for the Planet, and this the cafe, the DESIS cafes. I think there's a lot of like alternatives for members to join, and we've really been able to connect to different things. Most of them we've tried, and also I think it's available, at least for us that we are in Mexico. Sometimes it's very early in the morning, but it's manageable. So we've been able to do it, and we are now like more connected, and now we can find more about what's happening in the network. And so congratulations, because it's really working for us at least. And on the other hand, just I completely agree. I like the idea of creating something about best practices, or at least like references of what other labs are doing and what we can share and work. And I think sometimes we can even share the programs that we are delivering. We could open them to other DESIS labs that are probably in the same region or areas. We do a lot of activities that are free, that are open, that are online now. And I think it's easier for some of our universities to open these activities to a wider audience. So yeah, I think we could share more of this. And then also, I don't know, I was thinking on like if we could like have like an open worksheet, for example, where we could add this activity so it wouldn't create like more work for you, or something where we could just like share activities and see it like the whole network. And the other thing, I think we could also work in strengthening the regional DESIS networks. So for example, in Spanish, I've always wanted to do this, like to talk with local DESIS labs. We are the only Mexican DESIS lab, but I know there are some labs in Colombia, and now we have one in Chile. So I think this would be also interesting. I mean, not only in Spanish or in Latin America, but for example, in China or in Africa. And I think that we could have probably some local chapters for talking and exchanging practices in our own contexts. I think that would be interesting, and maybe we could eventually share what our own chapters are doing.
Thank you. We need to learn some kind of these things with China and with South Korea, because they managed to collaborate among them. So these regional labs, it's a great idea. Anyone else, or Ezio, do you want to comment? Carla wants to say something also. She raised her hand.
Dear colleagues, we have, each one of us, a huge responsibility with our students. And our students, what is the meaning of this network? I think that we should think deeply on that. What is the meaning of this network? We have in our hands, passing through us, listening us, a lot of young students. So, you know, we have DESIS Students Initiative. That is something that is happening. This is one front, and into the future. But we, in our everyday life, we have students in our rooms. They, if we think they are the end of our efforts, how we can give them hope give them sense of justice? How can we give them? So the network, and one of the objectives of this network could be for us to be stronger together, because alone we are, and we have a huge advantage. We are an international network. So something that happened internationally, nationally, we can discuss and we can see it from another point of view. This is something that is very precious to be here together. So if we have our students in our hearts as the main objective of our activities here, students are agents of change. This is written in our website. So how can we serve to students and how we can make them agents of change? This is very important. And I would like to know how DESIS can help me, can give me strength to do this important work for them, future generations. And secondly, I forgot what we were gonna say. Anyway, we are, I remember now. I must say, I was very, sometimes we don't have the view of who we are. Because I told to some of you, I participate in European projects that have analyzed many social innovation networks, hackerspaces, Fab Labs, but they have analyzed us. So it's not important to the results, but we have been listed as an important social innovation network. So we are becoming important as a voice, important as an actor in this scenario. So when we say this network is alive, I feel this way. So I want to share with you what does it mean. It means that we will every time bear more to, as professors, teachers, where we are distributed around the world, understanding how we can help our students to be agents of change. So I'm sharing that because also if our networks became more mature, we can share also our ideas and expectations of how we see this network and how we can build up new possibilities for us to act together. So that's what I would like to share with you, and is my way to say very happy to be here, and is very happy that this network is alive, and very happy to see new members, and very happy to welcome to this idea, to this proposal. That is what is written in our website. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Carla. Elaine, do you want?
Yeah. It's just a response, Carla, what you're saying really resonates, which I put in the text, but I'm thinking about so many conversations that Louise and I are having in Vancouver with between the two of us, and then Laura, who's also plays a big part in the DESIS lab. And in particular, to do with these times and our students, it would be wonderful if there was a way to share amongst those of us who are educators in the DESIS network, how we are supporting our students, because the way that they are navigating their spaces in the classroom is changing. And we know that this work is really important. We also know that they, on one hand, seem to, and Louise, tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but it seems like they really, really want to make change, but times are so unstable. And we're constantly in Vancouver having these conversations about how do we make it enable them and allow them those spaces. It's not really easy right now, and it would be really wonderful to be able to share amongst colleagues and peers the strategies that we use to offer up to our students, because they are really important in terms of the work that we do moving forward.
But we see that they're more tired than they used to be. There's a loss of some spirit. Our students are really feeling sorrow at what they see around them.
Yeah, but I think this new generation, the Generation Z, they are really active. We just need to show to our students the way. So I think it's important to share between us also the tools that we have to teach and to get the best practice. So I use a lot the project from the DESIS labs to show my students how the others are doing and having an impact on their communities. So I think it's a good way to exchange what we are doing as teachers and to show our students it's possible and the others are doing in the same way. As you do, you want to comment something? I know that you always want to comment. You need to unmute your.
I like to make some comment if you like, but not consider it the final because maybe we could have also some other that want to intervene. So it's simply an intervention that I do as one of the participants. So I confirm that this is a good day. I've learned a lot, and I confirm that we are changing. And I think that, for instance, what has been promoted at the beginning by Carla, the students' initiative, and after this cafe, and afterward this spontaneous connection that happens. So probably we are starting to use also the digital device, because the digital device, I think all of us are very critical, but I must say that we have revamped DESIS through this, being obliged to use this digital divide. We now start to have a relationship with people that otherwise, in the way in which we did before, would be very difficult to do it. So we have really to try also to use our design capability to use at best these technologies that we have, and to try to show that they can be really useful also to have an important relationship and create something important. And given that as it was from the beginning, the title of my speech was "Everything is Moving," and the DESIS is moving too, I would like to underline 2 points that I think should remain. Or should remain. This is my proposal, but afterwards we are so diverse now, maybe we could have a discussion also of this. There are the new topics that are spreading, and they could be, they have also some keywords, some buzzwords that are post-colonialist design. There could be the more than human activities, there could be the gender issue, etc. And for who knows me, you know that I am very concerned, and I take very seriously what is the basis of that. Nevertheless, I have the impression that we have the risk to have discussions that are very much ideological, and also in some way not bringing us to do what we should do. So we have also the philosophy talk that is exactly to go a little bit more in depth. But for me, and this is my proposal, my suggestion, we should keep that DESIS is based on design research, so on knowledge generated through designing something. So the core of our activity has to be to talk about projects in a reflexive way. And maybe not all of you participate to the philosophy talk, but what we arrived to say with Virginia and with the others that will participate, that at the beginning, if you want, the ratio of the philosophy talk was, there are some philosophers that say something interesting, let's discuss with them so we can see if there is something interesting that we can bring in our arena of design. Well, I think, and we thought at a certain point, that could be, this could be, so we have learned a lot from some philosophical talk, but I think that we can bring original knowledge to the philosophical discussion, moving from practical experiences. So, and this is fundamental, because when things change so much, if you don't go in the practice, how you can extract the new. So the newest part of what is happening now is not so much in the mind of somebody, it's inside some practice. And therefore, we very modestly, as always, we have reshaped what we mean philosophical talk. That means let's consider what we are doing and try to reflect and to discuss, to extract some value, some philosophical framework, some contribution to philosophical discussion and to political discussion from here. And therefore, okay, I stop here, but I want to say, please, let's try to maintain our discussion mainly on something that you bring a project and you are capable to discuss this project and to show if in this project there is something that could be interesting to move in the direction of decolonization, more than human, etc., etc. So this is, for me, it's really one of the characters of a DESIS network, because there is also other way of doing it. They could be equally valuable. So we are not a kind of cumulus that have everything inside, with all the respect for cumulus. I have nothing against cumulus, but in cumulus you have everything, every kind of design, and it has to be like that, because design is larger than DESIS. We are here, for me at least, and I hope that if everything changes, this will remain, because we are a group of people that mainly make projects, mainly with the students. And this is not only because we want to teach the students, that I, of course, agree totally with what Carla was saying, but the students are also the fresher minds that we have around. So there are possibilities to invent something. So that goes beyond the importance of teaching to the students, but to generate together some knowledge. And we have a desperate need of new knowledge that comes from not only from some ideology, pre-built ideology, but from the practice that we see how things are going, who is doing something interesting. And this is the second point. We are very tolerant on what we have been until now, very tolerant, and we will be very tolerant with what is the meaning of social innovation. So we call ourselves design for social innovation towards sustainability. Not all the design that is for sustainability is based on social innovation. And this do not mean that they are not important. There are a lot of things that can be done, and moving from some new technology, using new technology, or inventing something totally new. But with all the respect of the others, we should have as a core that we move looking into the reality, the innovation that is happening, and recognizing when there is somebody that is doing something interesting by this point of view. So this, afterward, I'm very happy also to listen other things, and we are not here now to create a very clear-cut line, this is social innovation, this is not social innovation. But if you agree, I don't know if everybody agrees, but we should take seriously what is the meaning of being this network designed for social innovation. And I think that there is also a practical reason for that, because the network exists when they are a very clear place. So a place where if you are a certain kind of interest for you, you have to be. If a network is a network in which you can have everything, it becomes not to be so important. So it has to be important for those people that for some reason choose to say, well, in my work, very modestly, but I want to focus on how many energies and idea society can generate. And as a designer, I want to collaborate with these ideas that can emerge from the society. So this is the core. Afterward, we can have also some other things. As I said, we have not to clear cut who is in, who is out. But let's make an effort to go in this direction. And if we now, and I conclude, if we want to look into the reality and we have this new topic, I think that will be very important to create a kind of a gallery of what is the newest example, or example designed by us or designed by normal people, that tells interesting story about post-colonialism, about more than human design. This is, I think, something that we should do. So to put together, as we did 15 years ago, when social innovation was not a topic. And we put together in a very, at the beginning, in a very messy way. I would say, look, what happened? There are people doing like this. Oh, and everybody was excited. And this has been the beginning. We call them creative communities at that moment. And there was a mix of everything, but they had something in common that we started to recognize. Well, I think that we have to have a new season of looking to something that is the new wave of social innovation that goes in a promising way in the direction that we want. I think that we are mature now because something starts to happen in a very networked way. Who knows, we have had, I changed the issue now, and sorry, maybe it's too long, but this is another story. That one is what I said until now was most important, in my view, to maintain the focus on what we want to do and why we are together. Then there is an issue more related to our structure and the way in which we live, in which we live. The old members remember that we have had in the past a discussion on how to organize, if we had to ask money to the participant, how we had to have the structure. And luckily, by my point of view, we always decided after these discussions to remain the lighter that was possible, to maintain the more that was possible a networked organization. So even the fantastic group, now, before was Carla, before was Anna, now is Teresa, that coordinates, it's seen as a project, but it's not a kind of a vertical organization with a center and a network. No, it's Teresa and the team, and Carla before, and Anna before, has helped to make something happen, but afterwards things have to happen in the network. And what we see now that was not so visible in the past is that the networks start to work as a network. That means in the past, even though we wanted to be very light, more or less everything started from the center. And we did a lot of interesting things, but because we provocate from the center. Now we start to see the beginning of horizontal connections in between different labs that want to do something together, or group of people that invent a new way of doing, as has been this student, for instance, that has not been invented. Yes, Carla was in charge in that moment, but I think that I'm correct if I say that it has not been something imposed by Carla. It's something that happened. And afterward, Carla has been so clever to follow it and to help it to happen. So I see something that starts to happen. This is very positive, and this is probably our maturity. Let me say in this last point on the regional issue. I said, and I repeat, it's very important to have a regional issue, if they are regional, because they can exchange something, etc. But it's also do not risk to create the network of the regional groups that create the frontier around the region, because if the regions go together to develop their own identity and their own culture, it's a good thing by a certain point of view, because it's important also to develop a post-colonialist. So it's good to have that some Africans or some Pacific region try to develop their own identity. Good, but we are in the moment in which the risk is to create borders. The risk is to create walls. The risk is to create the group that is in some way different from the others. So I would like given that it could be useful to have regional, but now I tell it in a superficial way. For every regional meeting, we should have a thematic cluster that is international. So a thematic cluster in which there is a topic, and the topic is discussed together by European, African, South Americans, and Chinese. Because I would be worried if in the future I would say the Chinese with the Chinese, the Pacific Rim with the Pacific, the South American with the South American, in a world in which this tendency to create contrast in between different entities is growing. So our role of agent of peace is to try to create a topic on which many different people from many different cultures converge. And therefore I will not be misunderstood. I'm happy if we have some regional meeting, but I think that the real challenge is to create, to have topics around which you have different people from different backgrounds that come together and discuss and find a way to have a conversation. Given that, thank you so much, all of you. I see Luis in front of me in my screen. I have a little box with Luis. And yeah, I don't know, Teresa, if there is somebody else that they want to talk, it will be nice.
Yeah. Anyone on these provocations by Ezio? You are just trying to reflect on the things, as you said. Well, I want to say that from this assembly, I think one of the words that was most spoken was collaboration. So I think, as Spiro said, we need each other, and we are eager to collaborate with each other, and that's what the network exists. And as you said, the network is working as a network, as people are in fact organizing events and doing things that are for our common good. So I think this is something that we should continue working on, even for the DESIS statements, thinking about this. These topics that, as you talked about, the post-colonialism and modern human and post-imperialism. So I think we have a lot of things to do for the next year. I think one of the things that are important is that we are working, and when I say we, I say the coordinator, the coordinating team. We are working on new ways of having these labs interacting with each other. But if you have suggestions, it's more than welcome, because I think this idea that we can have like interns in our DESIS labs, we can exchange students, research with also David. I received some people from Politecnico di Milano. I went to China with David at the DESIS lab in Tongi. I was in Barcelona at Elisava. So I think it's really important to exchange students, researchers, professors between DESIS labs. So I think it's something that we can work on. Also, I would like you to know that we are trying to update the website, as it is a little bit old. This is something that takes time. One of the things that we want to do is to update the projects and to give more visibility to all the DESIS labs. So you will receive an email with a form for you to fill in with some more information, so we can put on the website, on this new website. So please pay attention, and if you can fill in the information in due time, so we can start building something. If we don't have any other issues, I have to tell it was really, really nice to see you, all of you. You are active, you are present, means that we are all doing an impact and having an impact in our communities and on the network itself. We can say, okay, Anna that is here, she's always observing everything, taking a group picture. Okay, so Anna, you do that? Yeah, okay, so let's just smile. It's done. Okay, perfect. Everything was streamed on YouTube. You can always go back and see all the things that all the events that are on the DESIS Network YouTube. Okay, if you didn't have the opportunity to listen to the Conversations for the Planet or the DESIS Cafe, please go there and have a look. Bye, guys.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao, bye bye.
Bye, Ezio.
Ciao,
Bye, Carla.